Hello guys, and welcome to this new class in where we are gonna start doing important things. We are gonna start working with the text. Mastering everything related with the text is gonna be paramount in InDesign. So let's start. First of all, I want you to analyze a little bit this document. It seems that we have here this line around the paper in red, and you should know that that line is the bleed. Inside the paper we find another kind of lines making this rectangle, and you should know that those lines are the margins, right? If we look at the right side, we find the floating pages panel open, and we have 3 pages in our document. We are playing with facing pages. First one is on the right side, and then we have our first spread. All these 3 pages are linked with the parent page with the prefix A. And at the same time, on page number 1, we find this little arrow, this little triangle at the top, which means that page number 1 is the beginning of a section. Once we have understood the document, let's jump into the text tool. Shortcut letter T. We can find the tool at this position, and if I click and hold, we can check how we have 2 different options for this tool. The regular one, type tool, and type on a path tool. Let's focus on the first. Once it is selected, you can check how up here the control bar is full of many different options, all related with the text. But the most important thing is to understand that here we have 2 different categories: character and paragraph. Character is marked automatically, and these options are related with this character category. But if I hit the one below called paragraph formatting controls, then you can check how the control bar changed, new different features pop up here. So let's go back to the character formatting controls, in where we will find tools in order to edit the text, not the paragraphs. So what we can find here? First of all, the font. Now we are using Minion Pro. Below we can expand and check the family of that font: regular, italic, and bold in this case. Then we have the size, 12 points. Below, the leading, 14.4 points at the moment. If we continue moving to the right, we can edit the text and use all caps. More to the right, superscript, underline. Going down, small caps, subscript, and the strike through option. Then we find the kerning and the tracking. We will see how these guys work. More to the right, we can edit the text and make it more vertical or more horizontal, changing the scale. We can change as well the baseline shift, and we can rotate the text using what is called false italic. Finally, from here we can change the character style, something that still we don't know what it is, but it is a very important concept in InDesign: the character style and the paragraph style. And down here we have the dictionary. Now we are using an English dictionary. Moving more to the right, all these guys are align options, and they are more related with the paragraph category. The thing is that once we have finished the character options, then paragraph options appear, and depending on the width of my screen, I will have more or less. But check how if I hit the paragraph category, those guys, the align guys, are here in the beginning of my control bar, and then I have even more and more options. Once we have this general view about the tools that we can easily use to edit the text, let's text something. Text tool is already hit, then left click and drag and release. I made my first text box. If I zoom in, I can check how the marker is in the beginning of the box waiting me. I will text, for instance, my name is Manuel Pallares. If I finish and I want to go out, I can hit escape, and immediately selection tool is already hit, as well as the text frame. Once the text box is selected, we can do many things with this box. I can easily move it to another position. I can transform the geometry of the box, and if I want to go in the text box, I just have to click twice, and then the marker will be in the position to write down something. In case that I want to fulfill the box with text, I can use right click and use the option called Fill with Placeholder Text. Then Indesign has used a kind of Latin language. It is not Latin, but it has something to do with Latin, and it finishes at the end of the box. If I hit escape, then my box is selected, my selection tool is already hit, and then I can transform my box tool and new things are happening, because the text will always try to adapt to the box. If there is enough space, the text will go to the end of the box following the new shape, and then maybe I find free space in the end of the box. But when the box is too small for that text, this warning or red plus icon will pop up warning me about the extra text hidden inside that box. So be careful when you transform the geometry of the boxes. If we keep analyzing the text box, we can check how we have this little square in the upper left corner. This is related with the extra text I was commented just before. We have like two doors in case of extra text, the entrance and the exit, because we will be able to connect or to link different text boxes with each other. So this is the entrance. In the opposite corner we find the exit. Then we find this blue square. We will use it to play with anchor objects. It's not the time, just keep it in mind, anchor object. Then we find this yellow square to edit the corners of our boxes. Let's do it. One click, and then I can click and drag and change the geometry of the corners. If I hold Alt and I click it again, I'm changing the shape of the corner. And as you can see, the text is always adapting to the new shape. If I continue moving around the text box clockwise, I find this guy, I already talked about it, and then finally this kind of O letter, which is telling us that the typography is an open type typography, and then we have different options available. If I click on it, then you can see some of those options. One click outside, and again I click the text box in order to select. Okay, let's continue playing with the text. Hand tool, and I click twice. This way I center the page. Now letter V. Selection tool. I move my text box and I place it exactly on the margins of my page. Then I change the geometry and I adapt my text box to the margins of my page. Time to go inside the text box. Double click, marker is waiting, right click, fill with placeholder text. Everything right. Still the marker is inside the text box waiting for new text. That means if I click, for example, here, the marker will change the position. I can zoom in, and before finishing the class, let's see how should I do to select text. If I want to select a word, then double click and the word is selected. Now I want to select my name, Manuel. Double click on Manuel and my name is selected. If I want to select not a word but a sentence, then instead of 2 clicks, 3 clicks. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it, for example, with this sentence in the middle of this paragraph. 1, 2, 3, and this sentence is already selected. Imagine that now I want to select not a sentence but a paragraph. Then I need 4 clicks. 4 clicks in a row, very fast. Let's do it with the first paragraph. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the paragraph is selected. Let's do it with the second paragraph. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the paragraph is selected. Of course, I can select text as well just by clicking and dragging, and wherever I stop, the selection stops too. So these are the main concepts to select text inside a box. In the future, we will do more complex exercise with large documents, and then we will find other ways of selection which can help us a lot in those cases. But by now, this is more than enough. I want you to practice all these new abilities, because in the next class we will do our first exercise to master more and more all these edit possibilities available in InDesign. Time to say goodbye now, and I hope to see you in the next class.